Thank you, sir.
First of all, we again continue at the same point where we have left in the previous session. So let's start from the previous session. It was on IoT with AI. Okay. So we have discussing about the applications and their benefits and their prices and all. Right. So we have already seen that there are lots of technology where we can use IoT, and with the help of AI, we can make a very wonder system, right? So in self-driving cars, in smart homes, in body trackers, right? They're very beneficial when we apply any IoT systems as well as with the AI systems. Next, we were discussing about self-driving cars. It was a technology of driverless car or autonomous car, where what kind of data we needed. We have already seen that there are some roads, road pictures, the pedestrians, road signs, vehicles, right, traffic lights and all, right, and that can be taken by cameras, lidars, and sensors. Okay. Benefit was there, the road situation, we can make a kind of a system where any of the car can handle the driving by itself by the cloud data, right, and analyzing them, they can analyze and take an intelligent decisions. Now come to the next example of retail analytics. So retail analytics is for technology for the area rapidly developing, and the main challenge is optimal interaction with customers, right? So in the retail areas like Flipkart and Amazon's, right, and the different companies which are basically into the retail market, right, and they are always used to have some kind of technology so that most of the customer will head on to them, right? So how they will lead to them, any customer, if they want something, how they will manage to catch those kind of customers who want the same thing, whatever they have. Right? The thing is, they will have a basically analysis for them, right? So they have done an analysis at how people, how customers should be interacted with our platform, what kind of offers we can give to them, what kind of benefits we can give to them, so that they'll come to us and purchase the goods and products, right? So this is basically the challenge for sometimes you can see that somehow when you go to the internet, right, and you want to purchase something, sometimes because there are some offers will be going on with these companies, right? So which you always compare. What you do, you always compare that which of the companies giving you the best benefits, right? So that is basically the interaction you make with the companies by their, by their different applications, right? So in retail analytics, they can have that is obviously a challenge, how much customer they'll earn, right? And if they want to apply these things, so what the services they will apply, so that it will be maximum beneficial for them and for the users also. So what kind of data needed for them? So first of all, the data on each item in store and client purchase history on the basis of analytics. So here the data is, if companies is actually giving you some offers, it is not on the basis that this is the thing. The thing is that because you are going there and you are purchasing there, it is not giving all the offers to each and everyone, right? If any customers who is new to that company, they'll not give more offers to them if they know that this person who is here is around 1 years ago they have registered, and from since 1 year that customers has purchased lots of things, that has a lots of benefits is coming from that customers. They only offers those people who are beneficial to them, right? So they have that kind of analysis, that what is the previous history of any customers, right? They'll suggest, they will recommend the products, they'll having offer to the customers because of that analysis. And tracking the customer movement around the store's space with cameras is popular as well. So in the retail stores, where these are the Flipkarts, which is actually a software, so they have all the tracking. But if you go for any retail shop which is nearby you, so they actually track you by the help of the camera. Have uh, taken your product and which section you generally use, what kind of need you do have generally. So if you go there in daily basis or in weekly basis, if you go there, they analyze all of things when you can come there, right? So if you are going there in the weekly basis, so they'll give some offers in kind of, if you go let's say on Sunday, so they'll give you on Wednesday also, so that you will go there in Wednesday, right? And itself in Sunday, right? So they will basically footfalling their customers at their stores because of this analysis, right? So there are all the analysis is going on. So the camera is tracking all the movements, and they are taking all the records of that customers and histories, right? The purchase history, the customer all of them are there. Influence on businesses. So predicting the customers needed become possible with each piece of data gathered. Embedded sensors and cameras can adjust the way the shop operates and where the consultants are needed. Right. So embedded sensors are placed so that any customers, if enters in the stores, so where any product will be taken, where they will set the product so that people has this reachability of the important products. So that you can see that whenever you go to any stores, if they're having any kind of offers to any product, not each and every product is an offer. So if any product has some offers and a very large offers, so they'll take that product at the front so that you will be interested in that product, right? So this is actually a mind game to them, that they're analyzing you what you actually want and what giving they match that kind of things by the analysis, right? So some of the modern and individual approaches can help the company stand out and make the consumer stay longer. Everyone use predictive systems, but IoT helps with better precisions and deliver suggestions to the most optimal times. Benefits. So, what is the benefits of IoT and AI in retail analysis? So, in retail analysis, keeping track of all the products in the store helps to identify their demands pattern. Right. Most of the products are kept with some sensors. If you put that element, the sensor will detect it first. Right. So keeping track all the products in the store help to identify their demands pattern. Also, AI can identify the external factor influences such as store configuration or time of the day. Right. Tracking the consumer or customer's movement and all the actions in store helps understand the choosing process. For example, finding out that many people choose between particular products can help the store find suitable locations. Right. So any product which is available in the store, so that you can track their location, consumer location, at which corner they are, where the footfall came, right? And if the multiple customers are at the particular products, means that product is easy to most of the people, and that could be placed at the front of your store. So that is basically the analysis can be done by these things. Artificial intelligence for retail IoT is often similar to online recommendation system that we have already taken an example, that any recommendation system can be made with the help of this is this is on the online systems. They can recommend, right? So if you go to the any Flipkart or Amazon kind of websites, you can see that there are some products which will be recommended by them to you, that you have purchased this. If you purchase any shoes, so they'll recommend some kind of shoe polish. They'll recommend some kind of socks, right, and related to something which could be needed by you, right? So this is basically the benefits of artificial intelligence, right? There will be a recommender system working behind it. Next is price. On the type of information together. Often keeping up with the processes requires cameras, which can be most demanding hardware here, right? Also, most of the solution are generalizable, slightly increasing their ability. So generally, this can be done with the cameras or some sensors, right? So that is not much on very higher price, right? And next is example. So the most known example include is AI shop assistant. Some of the shops are made like an AI assistant. They will assist you a kind of as any person can do. So artificial intelligence based shop assistants can be there. Even like if you go with the Amazon, Amazon gives you a Alexa assistant over there. If you want to shop anything at the Amazon website or Amazon app, you can just tell to Alexa, and Alexa will help you out to finding those products, right? And giving you those kind of links of that products to you. Right. So that could be very helpful. You don't have to write anything. You don't have to search one by one. You can tell each and everything to that personal assistant which is given to you. Right. Next is fully automated store. Right. Even in fully automated store, it can be very good opportunity for that stores, so that uh, stores will be available for automatically. There will be no any kind of extra assistance. Human assistance will be there, right? It will some of the vending machines are basically working in the same format, right? Let's say any companies like Big Baskets and all, they are what they are doing. They are keeping some kind of vending machines at the places where there is no need of any kind of working person over there. They have all of things automated. You can pay by QR codes. You can have your products automatically. The sensors will detect it. The amount will be reduced from your balance. So these all things are automated, and you could take it very without any assistance, right? So like one of the setup by Amazon, right? Amazon also setups like this. Amazon set up in a very in a large scale, and the small companies set up vending machines for some purposes, for the same benefits for the people. Other implementation include AI enhancement using technique, something using virtual reality to enrich the shopping experience for the customers. Right. So something when you have like you some other companies gives the virtual experience, virtual reality experience to you. Like I need to purchase an house. I have to purchase a home, and I have gone to any builder who is building the flats, and they are building the houses. So what I asked them to show the structure. So now they don't have any brochure. In the previous times, they have brochures where they show you about the structures of that building, about the structures of the flats, about the structures of villas, right? So that you can understand, yes, this could be, but you cannot experience the internal things. So by the help of virtual reality, it make you experience that yes, this is the living where you can live it. Right? The 3D structure of each and everything, the rooms, the products, and the building, the environment. right? Each and everything can be done with the virtual reality. So it's also a very large subject to understand, and which is made with the augmented AI. Right, augmentation is making things virtual. Right, like you're going to purchase something. If you're going to purchase a kind of a product, right, and that product is basically uh, some of the companies had given you product of the outer surface, but you want to know about the inner surfaces also. So by the virtual reality it can experience you, like I have already given you an example of any flats and houses, right? So if you want to purchase any house, it'll give you some kind of a virtual experience where you can see the exactly what kind of house you're going to purchase, right? And it will enrich your shopping experience also. You'll be, very impressed with that, because you'll always have a thought, exact thought what you'll be purchasing, right? Like in a smaller way, if you'll go for the lens card, right? If you understand about this thing, so you will, if you'll go for any specs, and if you want any specs, and you go for the lens card, so lens card will give you some kind of experience, right? So they'll give you the frame, and if you want to experience that frame on your face, that what is this kind, you don't have to go to the stores, and you don't have to go to, you know uh, go to the stores, and you don't have to uh, experience it by each and every product. But in the website and in the application, they have that kind of experience where you can put your face over there, and on your face what frame is suitable you can easily understand by experiencing them. Right. So they have frames, they have glasses, they have everything. And by this, they are actually make you experience about this. So this enrich your experience, shopping experience, you can easily understand about the products. You can easily understand about what kind of things you are purchasing, what kind of things you will be, you can predict it also, right? How you will look like, right? So each and everything you'll do it directly without any harassment. Next is security device. So we can apply IoT with the security devices also. Like complexity is unlike other users. AI has needs to be complete fault proof. If you're applying AI with any IoT, as we have seen that IoT has lots of problems, lots of security issues were there, right? There are lots of challenges over there, right? And that challenges, if you apply any AI with it, it will also the same thing over there. If AI is there, means they are analyzing the same thing, but complexity would be always there. The security issues always there. So we need to understand that how we make this kind of systems without any fault proof, without any error proof, without any errors. So it should be very fault proof and error proof. So next is data needed. So what kind of data needed for that system? So depends on what security measure the solution implements. Usually, the first things to have are example of different access situations. For example, for the face recognition, this will be a facial data for behavior analysis, typical behavior patterns. If you want to build an identification systems, or gathering enough relevant data on a person in a question is essential, right? So basically, if face recognition is there, lots of the countries are implementing this kind of system where they can recognize each faces, and they can understand, or they can uh, have a uh, prediction of visuals. By the prediction of visuals, they can understand which person can harm anything, right? So by their facial expression, by their, by their behavior, they can understand, yes, this can harm, and this will be this person will can be problematic, right? Anything. So security devices can have all these things because of IoTs and artificial intelligence. That could be behavioral analysis, right? There could be a facial analysis, there could be the emotional analysis, right? Influence on businesses. So AI in security relies on detecting pattern that traditional system cannot pick up. Therefore, falsifying the access parameters will be much more difficult. This technology enables better safety in the location at the workplace without implementing some extreme security measure. Right? What are the benefits? Benefits are security is often in access control, ensuring the safety of every action and person. A smart built-in sensor in higher risk areas can alert about dangerous situations. Right. So any sensors can alert us. Right. Smart built-in sensor so that people can leave dangerous places in time. Analyzing behavior in a picture, AI can detect some abnormal situation and react to them or issue a warning to a supervisor. This means AI can easily prevent or deal with threats or human mistakes. Next is access system using AI can work it subtle ways to identify person and estimate several parameters at once, and it allows the installation of such systems without huge infrastructure spending. Right? Many human mistakes happen when attention naturally decreases at some point. Even the most dedicated guard cannot keep any eyes 100 cameras at all time. While for AI, this will not be a challenge. Right. So let's say you'll have to surveillance for anything which is very precious to you and applied many guards to it. But if you want to apply it, if you want to analyze it, you have lots of cameras, but at a single time you cannot analyze them by all the cameras, right? So for analyzing them, AI is the best technique, and AI can help you out for analyzing them because it is not only taking up the data from there. It is also analyzing it, and it is also giving you the decision making process. Right. Cyber attacks become more and more sophisticated every day, and many of them already use AI. Often, the best way to repel such attacks is to use AI to detect them as well. So, by artificial intelligence, we can understand, we can predict the attacks of any websites or any data, so that we'll be preventing them by attacking of the any precious data from cyber attacks. Other uses of AI in IoT security is threat assessment, such as system will identify all the possible threats, access and their priority, and instantly notify human of the most important ones. Prices. So many developed security system offers their AI service to the companies. Often such solutions are optimal as a lot of development effort is needed to reach the required level of reliability. They usually cost of little more traditional security systems, right? So there is nothing more you'll have to spend if you apply any security system. So there'll be a camera generally working with some device which has that kind of AI processes running into it, right? And some sensors will be there, so that is not much costly. Example, the most known implement of AI in IT security includes smart locks or access systems, often with built-in facial or behavioral recognition. The market of AI in cybersecurity is also closely connected to IoT. Example of such uses include fraud detection and network security. Right. And at last, in the application, there are smart cities and traffic management. The complexity depends upon degree of automations, right? And various factors connected to the city management. Complexity is basically a single application, many applications to manage, servers to manage. We have many clouds to manage, right? We have many decisions to manage. We have many protocols to manage, right? So a smart home is a very small thing, right? When you go for the in a different area and a different manner, right? So that we can have multiple challenges into it, right? So there'll be a complexity, of course, will be there. Data, what kind of data we can have with this smart cities and traffic management for each specific use, data about its historical uses pattern is needed. Obviously, when you use any AI systems, you always needed some kind of historical data, previous data. For example, you will need records of where and when people typically park and their points of interest for smart parking slot allocation. Right. Let's say your city has some parks or some visitors. So when people go there and when at the same time lots of people is visiting a place, so they can be resolved by the AI systems, right? So that they earlier they'll allocate parking locations to you. Right? This kind of data for every use case is usually gathered by sensors installed around the city. Different type of sensors are connected, forming a complete model of what is happening in the city. There's a lot of open smart cities data gathered around it. Influences on business. So using AI structure and maintenance costs, right? AI help to find the most effective solution with the minimum amount of resources. Some of the developments in the area are also usable on a smaller scale. Right? Next benefit is making the environment smart. Using AI can sustainably impact citizen lifestyles. It instantly improves the quality of life, increase safety, and decrease crime rates, right, in the neighborhoods. Transportation is one of the main areas of AI implementation in smart cities, right? So traffic controlling is one of the most higher benefits with the help of AI. AI helps in finding the most needed commuting routes, either optimizing the traffic infrastructure or suggesting new ones. One of the such example is the rise of mobility as a service idea, where transportation is built around the personal needs of everyone. Right. So that kind of service can be made where transportation is built around the person, personal need. Right, where let's say we have a public train, so train has particular timing, right? So whether there will be one person or there will be 100%, there will be 1,000%, the timing will be always same, right? But if that kind of service we can make, like if the train will run according to the number of passengers, right? So even if there is only one passenger, they'll the bus or any train or any cab services will run, right, according to their time, because we don't know what is in the future. So there'll be one person, there'll be one commuter will be there, or multiple commutes will be there. So if we know about that, if we make it as a personal, that if there'll be only one, so that could be denied or something another can be managed, right? So that can be made with the help of AI itself, right? And AI can determine the optimal use of city resources. For example, load on power grids often have distinctive patterns so that it can be optimized. Like load of electricities, you can say that if you go for any electricity grids, this they will supply you either you have use or not, right? They'll give you the all time supplies, right? And it can be optimized what kind of supplies in supplies in winter season, in summer season, they have in different ways. We need electricity supplies in summer in a very large scale. If we go for winter, it has very, and Some of the industry uses electricity supply or power supply in large scale. Some of the industries want very less scale of power supply. So that can be classified by this according to their needs by help of AI. Price, the development of AI-powered decision is possible in some parts of cities, making transformation more gradual. Right? Generally, smart city development is an area that requires a lot of investment. Right? However, it allows to improve so many faults of city design that the benefits of healthy environment using weight of the cost. One of the most effective areas is traffic management. Saving the unnecessary time spent of commuting every day increase the city's productivity and boost business. Right. So if you apply that AI services into the traffic management, that will be the very beneficial. It will increase the productivity and increase the efficiency of persons also, and it can help you out to make it decrement in the financial systems also. Examples. Example of smart cities that already used AI and successful functions are numerous. The most famous one include the following locations around the world, like Amsterdam, one of the most significant city wide waste management project implemented so far. Right? India's smart city mission program. So we have also a smart city mission program where we want to develop that system in our city, smart city, where autonomous system could be generated. The smart city of Niamey in Saudi Arabia and Singapore, Barcelona, Dubai, and other cities already implemented AI in urban services to an extent. Right? So this is all the works in IoT with the help of artificial intelligence. Okay. Okay. So next session we are going to start with the intrusion system. We are going to make the intrusion system with the help of machine learning. Right. So before studying about intrusion system, we need to understand first what is intrusion system and how we are implementing it with the help of machine learning. Right. So we need to understand about machine learning also, and we need to understand about the intrusion system also. Okay. So first of all, we are understanding about the intrusion detection. What is intrusion? So let us start about this. So first of all, introduction. What is intrusion detection system? So intrusion detection system have become an essential part of most organization security architecture. It gives you the security, right? Due to the rise in frequency and severity of network attacks. So it gives you kind of security and it gives you the predictions of security, right? Predictions of attacks. So first, there if any of the networks has applying intrusion system or where there is a prediction of attacking, right? And there will be a prediction of security breach also. So security architecture due to the rise of frequency and severity of network attacks. So when attacks has been rise because data are nowadays a very precious thing. We have all the way to have some of the people, some of the persons wants a kind of data because data have each and every information of yours. So it could be theft, as we have already seen in the previous lectures, that data could be theft from your servers, from your clouds, right? And because this, any hackers has to hack your systems, hack your servers, hack your clouds with the hacking processes, right? So you have to implement that kind of thing at that process where you are, where your application is working, your data is stored, You'll have to apply that kind of system where we can predict any attacks before happening, right? So this system is called intrusion detection system. To identify security breach, the target machines or network must be watched. So for making this application or making these systems, what we need to do, the target machine, whatever the target machine is there. So to if somebody, some hackers has to breach the security, right? So what they need to do, they need to target the machine first, right? So which machines they need data. So they target a machine or a network must be watched, and they always watch them and watch the data transmissions from there, right? And analyze for the signs of an intrusion. So by intrusion detection, we can help. We can make any system which can help first predict that if any attacks is going to be happen or not, and it is defined as an effort of comprise the confidentially integrity and availability of a computer network or to circumvent its security management mechanisms. Several IDs, multiple IDs are there. IDs means the same thing, introduction detection system, intrusion detection system, have been proposed to literature to efficient detection, such as attempts exploiting different characteristics of attacks, which system can provide with timely sensing of the network intrusion and subsequently notifying the managers or responsible person in an organization. Important actions are then carried out to reduce the degree of damages caused by the intrusions. So, if any attacks is been happening, right, to any of the security systems, so that can lead to a very financial problems, right? That can have a organizational or professional systems will be you know uh, hampers, right? Organizations use such techniques to defend their system for the network disconnectivity, increase reliance on the information system by employing intrusion detection. Organization use such techniques to defend their system. So intrusion system is used to uh, defend their system from the network disconnectivity and increase reliance on the information system by employing intrusion detection. In today's environment, the internet has evolved into crucial tools and an integrated entity of human life. So individuals from all over the world has adopted it as a platform for the communication and data exchange. Right. The data carried through wireless internet network may vary from incautious images or videos posted on social media. So in the earlier stages, what we'll do, we were starting to store our only some data to the clouds. But nowadays, we are posting our images, we are posting our videos, we are posting our daily activities on clouds by IOTs and all other techniques by social medias and all, right? So for the sensitive material exchange between government agencies, however, despite recent advances, the internet still has a limitations that must be resolved before it can be trusted, such as low resiliences against cyber attacks. With the world growing reliance on digital technologies such as the computers and internet, one of the key challenges that must be addressed is establishing secure and reliable applications. So framework and networks that are resilient to these assaults. Developments in protocols for communication between interconnected smart devices and advancements in the computational capabilities of their nodes have been increased their uses in daily life activities, right? So the protocols of communication should be, if it is not so much secure, so it should be very secure, it must be very secure, because we are using the interconnected devices and we are sending our data to the interconnected devices, right? And regularly on the daily basis, on the hourly basis or a weekly basis, we are sending our data. And there are some precious data also, there are some images also, there are some personal activities also, right? There are some private data also. So there are lots of things which is transmitting from your devices to the clouds and all in the network in the clouds. So we need to secure all of these things by our protocols. We can make this right. By our protocols, we can make these things. And this combination of internet services and smart devices has recently been termed as IoT. Right? It is made up for wide range of smart sensor and devices that helps to make the web an intelligent system. According to the growth rate using the IoT devices presented by Intel, there were 2 billion interconnected devices in 2006 and 200 billion are predicted to increase by 2025. Right. So primarily, it comprised of advanced digital devices that are incorporated in physical networks. These devices are linked to each other via internet, and they are exchanging large amount of data on daily basis without the need of human intervention. A generic architecture of IoT is given in image. Okay, here is the IoT architecture. Yes, this is already we have done. So there are lots of data which is coming from camera, coming from your World Wide Web, by web system, by your connection, social media networks, right? And by printer, right? By cameras, by your CPUs, your personal data, by the networks, right? By the locations, by the smartwatches, by some other mechanism, and by this robotic procedures, right? And all these are interconnected to each other and sending the data to the cloud. And cloud is in every time it is working, and it is every time transmitting the data, and most of data is in the network, right? So it is believed that the generic architecture of IoT is giving in the image. It contains different type of nodes such as smartphones, personal devices, which can communicate with different devices via Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or cellular networks. It can be two-way communication such as link between a smartphone and a smartwatch. Or it can be one-way traffic channels such as a camera sending pictures and a video to the smartphones or a PC. So there have been many attempts by researchers in field from around the world of achieve satisfactory level of safety and security of the internet. So each of these having respective pros and cons. The intrusion has been defined in the literature as an unauthorized approach to the data within a network system to compromise the confidentiality of the system. So intrusion is a kind of attacks, right? The network intrusion has progressively been expanded in recent years, resulting in personal privacy theft and being a major attacks platform. So it is believed that a good IDS can overcome the issues of network intrusion, where unauthorized activities on any computer network result a risk for end users. Conventionally, to identify an intrusions, the IDS comprise the user activities to previous record comprise data. IoT, this is the intrusion system we can apply here. Like we have IoT nodes. These are the IoT nodes where data has been collected, right? And it has to go to the any cloud system or any server system, right? But the way it is going, the network system, it is going in between some of the attacks the system. So what intrusion detection system will first detect that whether any intrusion could be come or not. By any ways, it will be that will be attacked or not. So here is the security. It could be applied, and it can first detect it, and from where it is coming, from where the attack has been happening, that could be detected by this intrusion detection system. Right. So this is the intrusion detection system. Whenever any attack data will be there to the person, it will redirect it to the another place. Right. So this is what we can apply over here. This kind of system we can generate. type of intrusions. How many types of intrusion we could have? So there are cyber attacks. Cyber attacks is basically intrusions, right? And that cyber attacks can have multiple types. The attacks are based on the purposes, right? What purpose, for which purpose that attack is to be done. So based on the purposes, one is based on purpose, and second is based on severity of involvement, and third is based on network types. So there are different of intrusions we can face, right? And based on purposes, if you go for the based on purposes, you can see that there'll be three types of purposes cyber attacks are there. One is reconnaissance. Reconnaissance is the process of gathering or profiling information to analyze a network vulnerabilities, and they're using that information to execute a successful attack is known as reconnaissance. Such attacks include network port inspections and traffic analysis. Right. In addition, packet sniffers and IP addresses queries are also included in this type of attack. So in reconnaissance, we have basically that kind of attacks where the IP addresses queries would be read by them, and data packets are basically read by them in the traffic, and they read about the traffic analysis. Right, I have already given you some idea about that how hackers basically take the data from your any cloud or any of the network. So they are doing that thing in the way of transmission. Right. If any traffic is there, they generate some traffic in the network, right, by their self only. Right. So if the data is in the traffic, they can steal their data. They can steal your information from the network itself, not from the cloud, not from the devices. It's inside the network. Right? If it is inside the network, by the network connection, is if your data is inside the network, so it can be theft from there itself. So that is because of reconnaissance. Second is access attacks. Access attacks is unauthorized inventors can obtain access to the device if they don't have any access to an account or password. Like we have any applications, right? We have downloaded or installed some kind of application, right? And sometimes what happens, we give all the accesses to that application, whether they are needed or not, it doesn't matter. Whatever the accesses they want or they asking to you, you are giving all kind of accesses to them, like location access, like your contact access, your message access, voice command access, and all of them. Right. So initially, it will that application has nothing to do with that access, but they can apply the same access to the different manner, right? So by access attacks, if you're giving access to them, you cannot claim that yeah, this has been hacked, because you have already given the access by yourself, right? So any account or password you have given access to any of the application or any of the vendors, so that will be a problematic, and that is called access attack. And someone without access to the data can enter illegally and hack it, or create a program to exploit a hole in the hacked and attacked application. Unauthorized access to the online accounts, private databases, and other sensitive data may be acquired by exploiting known vulnerabilities and authentication services, file transfer protocol services, and web services. So this generally happens with the file FTP protocols and web services protocol, right? So where we are using web services, that kind of access attacks could be happens, and uh, we don't know whether we are giving why we are giving accesses, right? Even if we just put the OK buttons to all of them. So the access we are giving for the right things is always right. Most of the applications are there, but if some of the applications are given to the given access from your side, and in that application there are some other application is running, so that may harmful to your data and your systems also. Next is, for the purpose, there is a denial of service attacks also. It's a kind of purpose attacks where malicious cyber threat device block authorized IoT devices from gaining access to information system, servers, or other network services, leading in denial of service solves. So what it will do, it will this kind of attacks just block all of the access from your side, even if you are the authorized person. If you are the authorized authorization of all of these things to access, but what it will do, denial of service is basically block all the authorization from your side. And this attack flood a target servers to the network with traffic until it becomes ineffective or fails, preventing genuine IoT device from the communicating with. So whenever you apply any kind of IoT devices and if it is collecting data, so denial of services, and if it is authorized to send that data to anywhere else, so that authorization can be blocked by this attacks. Right. So these are the purposes, based on purposes attacks. Can you hold it 2 minutes? Wait 2 minutes. Second is, based on severity of involvement attacks, there are different kind of attacks. One is active attack, second is passive attack. Right. So active attacks, when the data is being sent to all the parties by the attackers, or to stop transfer of the data in unidirectional or multi-directional directions, is referred as the active attack. So when your data is blocked to transfer of any of the destination, that is called active attacks, right? And it would be either unidirectional or multi-directional, right? The examples are distributed DOS attacks. A distributed DOS attacks triggers several IoT devices to collaborate for launching attacks on a single target. And attackers may utilize botnets to compromise a large number of IoT devices connected to the internet by launching DDoS attacks on such devices. Right. So in the multi-directional directions, if you are applying any IoT data to the multi-directional direction path in the network, so it will make it will stop it first and stop transferring. They'll make it stop transferring the data. DDoS attacks are growing increasingly serious as more as IoT devices are connected to the networks. Right. Second is passive attacks. Passive attacks is an Unauthorized attackers wiretaps on otherwise intercept the two parties communication to steal data from a system. Right? They are. This is basically stealing the data. Theft attack, an assault in which the hackers attempts to seize control on IoT system security to obtain access to sensitive information, is known as the theft attack. This is a kind of a passive attack. Right. Data leaking and key logging are two types of theft attack. During data theft assault, an attacker's attempt to hack into the remote IoT device to acquire unauthorized access. Right. So for unauthorized accessing, passive attacks is to be done. And second is during key logging operation, the attackers connect to the remote computers to collect user data inputs and extract private information. So keylogger is nothing. It's a kind of an software, right? And it is sent to your computer anyway, by anyway, in other software, by another software also. Let's say uh, you have any system, right? So you have installed any software, and that software has internally a key logging system, because you don't know the internal structure of any software, right? So when you are installing any application, that has internal key logging system, where whatever the keys you are pressing, whatever the application you are using in your systems, in your computer, in your mobile phone, whatever the information you are writing, each and every data is logging into that, and they can access that information. Right. So by key logging and by unauthorized uh, attempts, they can make attacks. That is called passive attacks based on the network type. The third one attack is called with the help of network type. So one is attack in Manet. Manet is a kind of network attack. It is in which information leakage compromises an authenticating device or set of device that normally offer security, making it hard to distinguish between a genuine device and a hostile user. So, so in a network type, even if the network is secure, that kind of attacks can be done by the different devices. For it is replaced the genuine device to the another device. Right, the black hole attack, it is defined as there is a black hole attack is defined as a routing all network traffic to specific node as if the nodes does not exist, causing all the data sent to disappear. Right. The black hole attack is there where you have sent some data to somewhere, but even if you'll go for track those data, that data will not be there, because that data is been taken or been collected to that kind of system which doesn't exist or which exists, but after that that will not appear. Right. Next is attack on WSN. Black hole attack is there, and second is flooding. Flooding is there in terms of routine method. It creates an alliance node that appears to be highly appealing, that encourage zero cost path of, that is the same thing as a black hole attack. Second is flooding. Flooding occurs at the network layers as well. An opponent send a connection request to the target node on the regular basis, right? And the target node allocates specific resources to the opponent to fulfill each request. The memory and the energy resource of flooded node may be expended because of this attack. So flooding occurs at the network layer as well. The opponent send connection request to the targeted node on a regular basis. So it will be verified first, right? It will start with verification, that it will giving the request to that node, right? So every time, so if any of the device finding some regular basis request from any of the devices, it is taking as a, it is considering that this request is coming from a very authorized way or from the authorized source, right? So by this it can make it as an authorized way, but actually it is an unauthorized systems. So the memory and energy resource of the flooded node may be expanded because of this attack. Next is, what is intrusion detection system and what is the firewall? That is the what is the difference between them? Right, IDS is something we are preventing the different attacks by the help of intrusion detection system, and second is firewall. Firewall is also the same thing, but what is the key differences between them? The first, IDS. If you know about IDS and firewall are often confused. However, they are not the same thing, right? While both are concerned with network security, an IDS varies from firewall in that a firewall detects intrusion and can also filter harmful traffic, right? So it can filter it harmful traffics, whereas an IDS detect intrusion and attempts to prevent them by reporting the network, right? It will not basically, it will only take the records. So if you go for the firewall detects intrusions and can also filter harmful traffics. Right? If there is any harmful traffics, it can also filter. Whereas an IDS detects intrusion wherever there is an intrusion and attempts to prevent, so they will prevent them first and them by reporting the network. So it can prevent it also, but firewall cannot prevent it. So it can filter, right? It can log out that it can be logged that kind of intrusions with them, right? And in that logged data, it can filter out which one is intrusion, which one is not, right? And where IDS first select the intrusion, they collect the data from the intrusions and then prevent it out the systems also. And a firewall is barrier that must allow traffic in both direction to pass through. So sometimes firewall could be a barrier, right? Sometimes if you want to uh, transmit some actual information, but by firewall it is detected as an intrusion, so it cannot pass through from the firewall. But IDS does all these things because IDS has all the ideas of intrusion alone. The traffic that is allowed to travel in their direction, in either direction, to determine by firewall security policies. So it also restricts the amount of data sent and received between private networks. An IDS and firewall concept is presented in figure to highlight the difference. Primarily, the firewall block network access to prevent infiltration, but it does not detect attack from within the network. Right. So if we go the firewall, so firewall is only to blocking. It is only for blocking. So it is not taking any kind of decision. So it's a kind of blocking wall, right? So any of the internet intrusion are there. So firewall blocks that intrusion to stored in your systems, right? But if you go for the IDS, so router has a different ways it is coming from different routers. So IDS will be installed over here, and IDS will prevent it first, right? It will not block it first. So there are intrusion introduction. I think this will help you out for understanding about the intrusion. Now we'll be understanding about the machine learning concept, and next in machine learning concept we'll see that how we can make an intrusion detection system, right? So first go for the machine learning. First we understand about the machine learning, and then by intrusion system we can understand that how it will help you out to making it a kind of intrusion based system. Practically we can do it, right? So let's come to the machine learning concept. Come to the machine learning concept first. So we were on a topic of artificial intelligence that we have seen, and I have given you a block diagram where we have seen that yes, artificial intelligence can be made with the help of machine learning, because for intelligence we need some learning, right? And that learning could have machine learning also, and could have deep learning also. Right. So, what is machine learning and what is deep learning and how it is working? Why we are doing this for intelligence, right? And what are the algorithms which is used with the machine learning, and how we'll apply this machine learning into our intrusion-based system, right? So let's start with the machine learning first. Okay. So if you go for the machine learning is a core sub area of artificial intelligence. It's an area, right? As I have already told you, for intelligence, we need to learn. So if we need to make a kind of an intelligence system, so for making an intelligence system, learning matters, right? So different datas and different from that datas information should be learned, right? And that learning process is done with the help of machine learning. So machine learning gives you some kind of approaches by which you can learn that data, and you can apply for it for the prediction outputs. So ML application learn from the experienced, like human do without direct programming, right? Let's say I have to learn about a data, mm, to predict whether I have any disease or not, right? So I need to understand whether I have some data that I have given some health test, and I have a report, and report has some values. So I need to understand whether this values is actually giving you some kind of any disease or not, right? So it will give you some information about that any disease or not. So for that you need to understand the previous things, the previous datas, that what datas will lead you a kind of a disease, right? So the data which is already happens, which gives you about the knowledge about any disease, like we had already faced corona, but corona was not recognizable earlier, because in early stages when corona come, some of the system was not aware by the doctors. They don't know about the corona systems and all, right? And later, as it was very they are having some patterns of symptoms, or patterns are there of corona. They started working on it for making vaccines to prevent, right? So whenever there is no any data, there was nothing to do. They can only doing by their own conventional methods, like malaria and the different diseases they had. So by curing those process, they are curing the same thing, but somehow it was working, it was not working, they don't know. So how they know? When they collected lots of data in 5 to 6 months, after 5 to 6 months they used to start working on it and making some vaccines on it, right? Before that they weren't aware of this, right? So machine learning is basically a kind of a learning. Whenever you want to learn something, you should have some previous data. Either you just make it, or in the previous you are taking data from somewhere else. So data gives you the experience basically. It gives you knowledge about that what could be happen, and what happened in the past, right? So in the machine learning, we have three kind of machine learning is there. One is supervised, one second is unsupervised, and third is reinforcement learning, right? And what are the supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning? We'll study about it. First of all, supervised learning. Supervised learning is basically we have any data, any past data, where we know the situations also and we know the outcome also. If we use any supervised learning, it means we have situations also and we have their outcome also. So the outcome is known and the situation is also known. And the outcome is nothing. The outcome is could be a kind of any numbers, right? It could be any kind of class also, right? So if I want to learn a data that has any features, that also called a feature. So if any situation is there and that situation leads to some outcome, right? And that data is known to us, so that learning is called supervised learning. For an example, I have some properties of any fruit, like this is an apple. So how do you know this is an apple? An apple could have different colors, right? Apple can have different shapes also, right? It doesn't always with you with the regular shape. The shape could be different. Some of the shapes are very big apple is there, very small apple is there, a medium sized apple is there, right? So sizes could be different, colors could be different, right? And some of the features could be different also, right? But how do you understand that this is only the apple? If it is a green apple or red apple or a pink apple, or is a combination of yellow apple and red apple, how do you know that? Because you will understand only one thing. Yes, apple is always red, and you have always learned from the system, from the ideal system, that apple is red, but not always apple is red. Apple could be of the green color also, and shape is different also. And a very small apple could be there and a very large apple could be there. So how do you understand that? So because of data, the data variations. So what we have done, we have made a data set where we have write the features of apple, different features, and accordingly what kind of apple it is, we have defined. This apple is coming from Shimla, this apple is coming from Kashmir, this apple is coming from this state, and this. So when you have that kind of pattern, you know that if you are having a green apple, it is coming from any Kashmir areas. Why you know that? Because you have pattern and somebody has given you that property, that yes, any of the apple which is coming from Kashmir is always green, it's not red. So that is given by somebody. You have the data. If you have the data of that apple, you have all the features of that apple, and you know the output. So that could be analyzed, that could be surveillanced by machine learning algorithms. So if you have data of any fruits, I want to identify or I want to uh, classify them with the help of their properties. If you want to classify some of the data to any class, then we need a data with that kind of class, right? And data set would be there, right? So data set is basically, there are two kinds of data sets. When you apply any machine learning, we always have two kind of data sets. One is called training data set and one is called test data set. Second is test data set. And data set is nothing. It's a combination of data of showing the behavior or features, and according to that behavior or features, what is the outcome. Let's say you need to recognize the different fruits. So how do you recognize? How do you recognize? By their shapes, by their behavior, by their feature, by their tastes, right? So how you recognize it? So the thing which is there, that is called attributes also, that is called behavior also, that is called features also, right? So feature is there, and according to that feature there is some outcome is also there. So for training data set, you train the machine learning machines with that data, so that machine can understand that what kind of feature is there and what kind of output is there according to that features. So it understands it. And next test data set is used to evaluate that you have trained or not. The machine is trained or not. That can be evaluated by test data set. Right. So we always have two kind of data set. One is training data set and one is test data set, so that the evaluation can be done for the machines, that yes, you have trained with data set and you know the data very well. You know the data's changes very well. You know the data patterns very well. Right. Somebody's, when we apply it with the children, let's say very small children is there, and if we make them learn that what is this fruit, so what we do actually, so first we give different fruits, and we give the shapes visually, right? And we give the properties of them, how apple is, how the apple is, how the mangoes is, right? How it tastes like, right? It's sweet or it's sour, it's salty, it's a kind of different fruits are there. We just give them, right? And what we are doing, basically we are giving the data to them, right? Uh, and training, basically training to them, right? And we are training that children and that child by these datas, right? And we are giving the factors, we are giving the attributes and features to them, and accordingly we are giving the outputs also, right? So that this is this and this is this. We are not only giving the feature, we are giving the outputs also. So by this outputs and by this features, they can understand what kind of thing this is. And next time what happens, we give a random input to them, a random fruit to them, and just ask them, what is this fruit? Is it mango? Is it apple? Is it anything else? Right. So this, the random data we have given to them is called test data. Right. So there are two kinds of always data. That is for evaluation, so that we can evaluate that that particular child has learned or not. Right. So again and again we are doing it the same process. So training data set and test data set will be there in supervised learning. So if we are going for the supervised learning, we have features, we have outputs also, right? So ML algorithm we apply there, and we process our data with the ML algorithms, and then train our models, right, with the data, and then taking the response, and we are giving the test data. This is the unknown data, which is a test data, and we have given the test data to this train model. And according to the training, right, if it is trained, and if know the processes, if know the data, if that model know the data, it can surely gives you a prediction about this unknown data, what is it, right? So understanding about this features, from this training they can apply the output. So this is basically the supervised learning. And supervision means it is having all the previous data with it, right? The features also and the outcome also. That's why it is called supervised learning. Second is unsupervised learning. So unsupervised learning is nothing. It's a kind of learning where we have unknown data. Means we don't have known data, right? What we need to do in unsupervised learning, we have known data, unknown data, where we need the features. right? And we know the features of all of them, but we don't know the output, right? Like we have apples, we have mangoes, right? We know the features of this, we know the feature of this also, but we don't have any output. What kind of fruit is this, and what kind of fruit is this? What unsupervised learning do basically, it is for segregating them, for dividing them into different groups. We are not taking output from there, we are not taking any single output from there. We are only used to apply this unsupervised learning for grouping them, right? So for grouping we need to use unsupervised learning, and here we have unsupervised model, right? And third one is reinforcement learning. So reinforcement learning is basically that kind of learning where we have we don't have any data. By action we generate our data. We didn't have previous data. Like you'll have to train a dog. You have a dog, a pet dog, and you'll have to train how to behave, and how to, if I give some kind of object to them, so they need to fetch it back from me. How do I train them? For that training, we cannot give the data to them because they don't understand. We cannot give them a data set that you have to do this, this, and this. No, we cannot do that because they cannot understand that kind of thing. So by action, we can provide some kind of, we'll always generate a kind of data by actions. That is not written, that is not in any written data set. That is a data set which is made by actions, right? Normally, if I need that any dog, any pet dog has to be has to take any ball. If I throw a ball to nearby to him, they need to return it to us, return it to me. So how they understand about this? So they understand because of, if the action happens, so if they give return something, that ball to me, then I'll give them a kind of a reward, right? And if the reward is there, they can understand this. Yes, if I return this ball to him, uh, I can find a reward, and if not, so I can give the penalty, right? So by action of rewards and penalty, we can make them understand where you'll have to use these actions and where do you don't have to use that actions, right? There is no any written data, so that can be that data can be understand by only actions, right? So that learning is called a reinforcement learning. There is no any previous data which is written, right? So in reinforced learning, we are always applying an action, right? So in learning of reinforcement, we do the same thing. Okay. So in machine learning process, we have basically pre-processing first. By pre-processing, for pre-processing, we generally do what? We generally use data science. In the learning process, we have supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. And at the last, we have the error analysis, which is called evaluation, right? Here we have error evaluation, where we can find out whether training is good or not, right? And by testing data, by giving the testing data set. Second is prediction. So after learning, we can give the prediction. If the if everything is goes well and your model is learning your data, now you can make predictions by this model. So model, you have a model and you have new data, you can make predictions, and you can take the prediction data from it, right? So there are three type of machine learning is there. Machine learning is there, not machine learning. There are three type of learning is there. right? So one thing more, in different learning, what kind of algorithm we generally use? I'll give you some introduction. In machine learning, there were three types of learning. One is supervised. Second is unsupervised. And third is reinforcement. What is the model name? In supervised learning, there are different kind of approaches we apply for the learning. Like first of all is classification, and second one is regression. Second one is unsupervised learning. Supervised learning, we have a model of clustering, right? And associative algorithms. In reinforcement learning, we have generative AIs. We can generate our intelligence by generative AIs in reinforcement learning. So these are the basically machine learning terms. And in supervised and unsupervised, there is one more thing. By machine learning, we can do supervised and unsupervised, but in the artificial intelligence, for making an intelligent, we generally do deep learning. Deep learning is nothing. It is basically the advanced version of machine learning, which makes the intelligent, which makes the machine intelligent. So by this deep learning, we can make our machines intelligent. And in deep learning, there are neural networks, right? Different kinds of neural networks are there, like MLP, multi-layer perceptron, right? CNN networks are there. We have RNN, we have DNN. These are the neural networks basically. Deep learning. So in deep learning, we are making intelligent machines. We are doing nothing. We are classifying or regressing, right? But the thing is, we are taking the decision as the human behavior. How human is basically taking the decisions, how the human behavior is there. We can make that same behavior for the machines also by the help of neural networks, right? And in the classification here, we use some kind of models, which is naive based model, right? Decision tree models, Third is random forest models. Fourth is KNN model. Fifth is SVM model. And next is logistic model. These are the models used with the classification. Same with the regression. We have also different model in regression. What is classification and regression? Both are supervised learning, but in classification, we generally dividing the class. We are not basically if we are predicting something, what the output we do have in the classification is any class. Like we are predicting some kind of apple, means we are predicting some kind of fruits, right? So apple is there. It could be any watermelon is there, any mangoes will be there, and lychee will be there. Means there are lots of these are the classes basically, right? So if we are predicting any class, so that is called classification, right? And if you are predicting any numbers, right, that is called regression. Like we are forecasting, we are predicting the temperature value, that is called that is into the regression. If you are predicting any percentage of match winning status, right, that is also a regression, right? If you see the IPL, you can see that there is always a predictions of a match winning, right? So which team will win, that is not yes or no, there will be a winning percentage over there, 50% or 20%, 30%, you can see that scale, right? According to the actions, according to the runs, according to the previous histories, it is always scaling from one value to another value. It's always changing. So because of this, because of regression, because regression always gives you some point, some values for prediction. So in regression, we have a different type of regressions. One is called linear regression model. Second is uh, the same decision tree, random forest, KNN, and SVM. These all are the models for regression where we are predicting numbers. Here we are predicting classes, and both are supervised. Means we know the data, we know the features, and we know the output also. Unsupervised learning is basically used to group the data for grouping, like recommendations, right? If you are having some recommendation from any softwares, that in the OTT you have been given for a recommendation for the shows, right? Because of your interest, and this is not only given to you, there are lots of people who have the same interest, has given the same recommendations. Means the companies who are using this recommender system, they are grouping customers, and according to the grouping they are sending some recommendations, right? So it doesn't mean you are the person by who are taking the advantage. No, that same advantage is given to the lots of people, and the same interest is given by the same people. That's why they are giving the same recommendation, right? So clustering only find out that kind of group of that people, right? So OTT platform generally do that, and secondary your e-commerce websites, e-commerce application are also doing the same thing, right? They are recommending. So clustering is for recommendations, and segregating or grouping the data, grouping the customers, grouping the products and all. So it is different from classification, because classification we know the output, but in unsupervised learning we don't know the output basically. So clustering, uh, in clustering we have two types of clustering. We have one is k-means clustering. K-means model is there, and one is agglomerative model is there. And in associative algorithms, there is actually associative algorithm. The name is associative algorithm model for association of multiple datas. Next is reinforcement learning, where we have generative AIs. Right, generative AIs is nothing. It's for making a new uh, images. Kind of, we generally use it as an image, right? Like you can see that in the recent some days, before some days only, you have been given some of the AI generated, AI generated data, AI generated images, right? They have given a past, images like how Ram look alike, right? Image of Ram, a clear picture of Ram, how Mumbai city is basically, like, right? If nothing is there, right? And in 2035, in 2050, and 3000 or after 200 years, how it is look alike, right? So this all is big given for the predictions. Whatever the data we do have, because of this, we are generating a new things into it. What if any politician will be a rock star? How they'll look alike? So kind of these all are basically a predictions, right? And that predictions comes with some the raw data, and that raw data now makes you can make them, and you can make a new generate. You can generate a new elements with it. So that is called generative AI, which can be done with the reinforcement learning. And for this, for making this all in a intelligent way, we always use neural networks or a kind of a deep learning. By deep learning, we can make networks, neural systems, artificial neural system, which is inside a human, right? As human does all of these things because of neural systems, right? So we understand anything because of our neurons. As we have already, I have already given you some example about how we learn, right? So we are learning because of neural systems. So uh, with the help of deep learning, we actually generating a kind of neural network, right, which can understand the things very intelligently, right? Not only images, there are lots of things, lots of things can be understood by this, because in neural networks, in human system, we are, this is actually inspired by the human systems. So if we go to the human system, how we can be an intelligent person? So we can be an intelligent person by reducing the error. There is no other way. Everyone, let's say you have a class and there are 100 people in the class, so no, not each and every person can be intelligent, right? Because the way of working, the way of understanding, right, and the way of their neural reactions and signals could be different. So if this is so much variation in there, so we cannot say that each and every person can be an intelligent person. But how we can make any intelligent device? If we want to make, we cannot make any intelligent person by itself, because it's a natural thing, right? The neurons are natural, we cannot alter them. But in machine, we can do this. We can do this by learning the data, and by the neural network, for making the networks in a, by the in the form of neurons. And actually neurons works with the networks. There are lots of neurons is working with our body, and they are connected with the connected with the, one neuron is connected with the another neuron, another is to the another, and to the central system, which is called mind or brain, right? So this is happening. This neural networks work with all of these things. So this is for the smart decisions basically, and how we make any person, let's say how we can make ourselves intelligent. So by keep practicing or keep reducing our errors, right? And uh, by understanding the complexity of our data, we can be an intelligent person, right? Let's say some of the people has given a very easy data, they can understand it, but they cannot be intelligent because they doesn't have that kind of data complexity. So if the person who has been learned for different types of data, different variations of data, that can also be, your mind always intact with that data. So data should be all type of, right? If you're learning something, it doesn't mean you always learn a simple thing. No, you always have to learn the complex thing, so that with the complex data you can learn the simple data also. But with the simple data you cannot learn the complex data, right? So complexity is always there in your learning. If complexity is there, by complexity of data, by variations of data, you can learn the pattern, and by the pattern you can understand the lots of things. So in deep learning, we always used to have complex data, right? That's why it can learn, it can reduce error, and it is keep practicing to understand that, right? Neural network keep practicing to understand that. If any model is learning the complex data with the help of their neural network, so they understand the pattern of that data, and as well as they always keep practicing to reducing the errors whatever the output is coming. If the output is not satisfactory, it's again go there and changes something, and accordingly it can take out the another output, and that output is always be refined, right? So by this processes, deep learning basically works on according to the human does the same thing. If human has to be intelligent, what they do, they learn first and then keep practicing on it and reducing their error for the intelligent level, right? So here these are the same thing which is given to the machine by the deep learning. So this is all the learning processes we use with the machine learning and deep learning. And by these processes, we need to understand about the intrusion system, right? So for the intrusion system, we have in intrusion detection system, what we have, so we have to first detect the intrusion before coming to us, right? If any attacks is going to be happen, we first detect prior, and then we can prevent it, and we have all the ideas how to prevent it, right? So first we should know about this. Like we have let's say earthquake is there, but we don't know when earthquake will come, because we don't exactly about the internal part of this earth. We know the space, so that we can predict about the space also, when what will happen in the space, right? What happens right now in the space, we know each and everything, but we doesn't know inside the earth what is happening there, right? So we cannot predict about the earthquake every time, right? So whenever it will happen, we just prevent at the same time. But if you know about that, so we can have multiple ways for preventing them. In the same way, if we have some intrusion attacks from different sources, so if you know that previously or in the prior knowledge, you'll have something that this kind of patterns, if you study about the patterns that yes, before attacking this kind of things happening, so it means there'll be attack and you'll prevent it, right? And by this preventing, you need a machine learning, right? So that you'll have a prevention data first, how attackers do this, and attackers pattern for doing this, and what is the network pattern, network conjunction of doing this. So there are lots of things we can have stored in the data, and then after storing and analyzing those things, we can prevent it. Right? Let's understand with it. First of all, uh, we take some 15 minutes of break and then we'll start again. By practical, we'll be seeing that how we used to write that kind of codes. We'll be using Python code for that, right? For analyzing and the data, what is the data and how it is working. Okay.
Okay, so we'll take 15 minutes of break. So thank you so much for this session. You have very well explained the concept of machine learning. I hope it is very beneficial to all of the participants. So everyone, please take a break of 15 minutes and then we'll come back. A feedback link is posted in the chat box. You can fill that feedback form. Thank you.